Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. Thank you for attending today's webinar. Before we begin, I'd like to cover just a few items regarding this webinar platform. At the bottom of your screen, you'll notice a handful of widgets, namely the Q&A widget, which you can utilize to submit any questions you have throughout today's webinar session. For viewing purposes, you can also expand your viewing window by clicking on the icon found on the top right corner of the slide viewer. If you have any technical difficulties, please click on the Help widget. And lastly, do take a moment to fill out the survey at the end of the webinar. At this time, I'll turn it over to our presenter.
Thank you. And hello, everybody. My name is Juan Orlandini. I'm the Chief Architect for Insight's Cloud and Data Center Transformation Solution Area. I'll explain what that is here momentarily. And with me is Sandeep Sinha, who is with Digital Innovation. So before we begin the content itself, let me lay the groundwork as to why this is a challenge, all right? It's doing Internet of Things, doing IoT, or anything complicated where you're driving a lot of different modalities of sensors and storage and compute and networking and all those other things, plus the development that goes associated with it, typically requires 10-plus partners to successfully drive a digital transformation initiative. And that's really the power of what Insight brings to the table, is that we are that one partner that can bring you all of that capability in a single point of place. Right? So we like to call ourselves the super solution integrator. And the way we've done that is by organizing ourselves into what should be transparent to you as the client, but underneath the covers gives us the ability to be very nimble and adapt to a lot of technologies. So we have a team called Digital Innovation, which is where Sandeep sits, and this is our developer folks. These are the folks that really truly understand how to take a business requirement and very rapidly drive a transformation journey through that. As a substrate to that is the Cloud and Data Center Transformation team. What we do is we make sure that the platforms that are needed in order to support the digital transformation are enabled for the digital innovation teams and the clients moving forward. Connected Workforce is our ability to, or our team that brings to the table the ability to do client success, and end user and workforce acceleration. And as a final layer is what we call supply chain optimization. A lot of these digital transformation efforts will require massive purchases of everything from sensors to storage, compute, networking, whatever, all of that stuff. And having a supply chain organization that is uniquely capable and focused on that is a key to success as well. So, sorry about that. I went one too far. So in the healthcare and life sciences, one of the things that we like to focus on is patient engagement, all right? And in those, we go after AI for precision medicine. Imagine being able to do diagnostics in a much more accurate and rapid fashion, being able to take your very expensive and very busy staff and empowering them to be more effective in all of that. So there's things like personal health assistants, connected patient experiences where the life cycle of the patient through, and that's a poor choice of words there, the experience of the patient through their journey in the healthcare system gets accelerated and improved. Healthcare facilities are sometimes very complicated, so we have abilities to do wayfinding and facility navigation. The care team itself, again, can be accelerated for predictive medicine. If you happen to support the mission of academics, we can help them through a variety of different approaches. Clinical trial management, medical device integration, immersive health experiences are also very important, and these give great visualizations to the healthcare professionals. And the operations side of the house, we've done a number of projects where we've improved the operations and where we've driven efficiencies in how patients are managed through the entire experience that they have in the healthcare facility and post-treatment as well, including reducing the patient length of stay. That's actually one of the key indicators for success. and there's a number of studies that have shown this, that if we can get a patient out of healthcare system as soon as the healthcare itself has been taken care of and back into their own homes and all that, that actually is a key indicator for future success in whatever treatment that patient got. Our team that does this has won all sorts of accolades. We've earned them through cloud enablement, through transformation services, so Agile and those kinds of things. We've won a bunch of awards on the data and AI from a number of partners, so Intel, Microsoft, and several others. Intelligent apps, we can develop the app itself that runs on your device itself. The DevOps journey itself and how we can take our clients from a zero DevOps experience to fully agile, fully DevOps capable infrastructure. And IoT and Smart Edge, we've won a number of awards on that side as well. So with that, I'm going to transfer the call over to Sandeep so he can talk into what we call the connected platform, which is our system of being able to enable a lot of those things that I just spent some time talking about.
Thanks, Johan. Hi, everybody. Sandeep Sinha with our digital innovation team, where I focus around a couple of areas. One is around IoT, and another area is around our public sector, very focused around launching this connected platform, and also things like smart city and other programs that we are doing in public sector and public safety and justice. So I'm hoping you're seeing a slide that talks about Insight Connected Platform. So as we were talking about earlier, Insight has been working in IoT space for a very, very long time. I would say at least 4 or 5 years that I'm aware of, and even prior to that. Over the 4 or 5 year period that we have engaged with our customers, we realize that as we go from one engagement to the next, there's a lot of repeatable patterns as we are doing this solution. We took a lot of learnings from those engagements and brought them together into connected platform. Some of you already know that. For example, like connectivity to Azure Active Directory, one component, reporting, data acquisition, edge components. There are multiple of these components that you will need for any IoT device, any IoT solutions. So we brought all those learnings that we got from different customers in the utilities, manufacturing, public sector, all these customer learning that we had, and we try to reduce the risk of our customers. So the benefit of connected platform, which is a solution that we build as a SaaS-based solution and platform, the key benefit is it reduces your risk and time to market for the solution. And we have deployed this solution into different verticals, different scenarios, notably, first of all, like with COVID, when the COVID hit, we knew that return to work was a big scenario for a lot of our customers, and they wanted to look into temperature. And so we actually used thermal scanners and cameras and connected to this platform to really get our customers a solution very rapidly. So I'll briefly touch with you about that as we go through this solution. But that's just an example of solution. So as you are looking at IoT solutions and different scenarios that you're looking for, this is actually a platform that can do, and Yuan will go into details about how do we do this on-prem, this entire solution. The next one is on the architecture side, overview of the architecture. In like any IoT solution that you're looking at, you will have an edge device, you will have network connectivity, and then you will have a cloud. And whether you go with a cloud-based solution or on-prem solution, those solutions will make some changes. But largely that you will have a edge device, connectivity, and some kind of back-end compute. And depending upon how your deployment is. So in our situation, and this is at a very high level, we organize that you have multiple leaf nodes, which are the sensors connecting to an edge device. And what we do is we try to do most of the compute on the edge device. And the reason is all of you know that you want to reduce the latency and of response. And if you want to create machine learning models, you want to make sure that the model is being executed on the edge so the results can be fast. And also, you don't want to send all the data that is coming from the leaf node to the edge device and back to your servers. The second thing I wanted to highlight is the way we organize the information, and we'll show you the UI a little later, but the way we have defined this is by people, places, things, and locations, and also alerts. And we basically organize in those construct so that you can take any scenarios and basically try to plug that into this user interface and create the solution. So for example, let's talk about inventory and asset insight. Today, if you're looking in a healthcare facility and a very simple problem, right, losing your wheelchairs. And I've seen in hospitals that sometimes you can't find a wheelchair and the patient is waiting in certain location because there's no way to transport that patient. Now think about this: if we were to have RFID tags and readers that was connected on those wheelchairs, whether you look at RFID tag, Bluetooth sensor, or other RTLS devices, you can actually really track your asset. Now take it to the next level. Today with COVID-19, as we are getting vaccinations and vaccines ready and looking to distribute these vaccines across the supply chain, one of the major things is about making sure that the right temperature is maintained into the refrigerator and the cold chain. Another example that we have done is how do you measure the temperature and humidity into those cold chains. So for example, we are working with a very large restaurant chain, and some of you may not know, but in restaurant, a lot of food is waste because suddenly the temperature of the refrigerator was not at the optimal level, and they have to discard those food. And to stop from that happening, you need to be able to measure the temperature and be able to alert the back-end operations team so that they can take corrective actions before the food goes to waste. And so we actually deployed with a very large restaurant chain these sensors so that we can measure and alert those systems. So that's an example of in inventory and asset that you can collect the insights with the different cameras and from a different sensors and collect the data and make some changes. Another thing that we are looking at is predictive maintenance. So we are working with a very large service provider who does the post-purchase services for in industrial space, where we are looking at vibration sensors. So for example, like if you are running a generator, there's certain kind of vibration that can tell you that that generator is going to break or a compressor is going to break. So by installing these kind of sensors, you can get the signals into your IoT solution. And these are the things that we have integrated in our system. Other thing that we have looked at is smart buttons. Whether it's into your hospitality industry or other location, that actually allows you to send signals based on what needs to be done and allows you to take some corrective actions. The third scenario we used it is employee safety, and just these are some examples of scenarios that we are doing. We are working, as the Yuan said, in healthcare, in manufacturing, in energy industry, multiple industry. We are deploying this solution today. So, for example, one of the major thing around employee safety, and this was in hotels, when employees goes into hotel rooms, they want to make sure that you want to maintain that the security of those employees going to serve and clean a room. So they have like a panic button. So if you click on the panic button, the application will tell you which room, which floor, and who was the employee that has to deal with that particular situation. And because of that, excuse me, because of integration with this kind of panic button and different sensors, we can actually make some changes and send the alert to the security and to the front desk who can take corrective actions. The same thing we are doing with cameras. One of the things with the COVID response was you wanted to make sure that, as people are only going through certain number of doors and also being able to measure the temperature of the people. So we actually deployed these scenarios where You can measure people's temperature. You can look at the how many people are assembling together. You can look at the number of people assembling together as a crowd. So, for example, certain location, you can only have 10 people. If you have deployed the camera with AI modules on the edge, it can actually measure the number of people that has been at any given location. What that allows you to do is take corrective actions, and actually you can even connect this with some kind of speaker system to allow you that. So we worked with a company called PCL in Canada and worked with them to build this a container which has all these features, cameras, speakers, other sensors, so that you can create a whole IoT solution to provide people vaccination into remote locations. So those are the few examples. I want to just show you a brief user interface for this application. This is a scenario where we were working with an industrial customer that is deploying compressors across their multiple locations. So the way we have organized that is, we look into, this is a data reading that is coming from the live data reading coming from the compressor. And this was a custom solution for this particular customer. But you can look at location, you can look at all the location that you're measuring from. You have different location, then you have the data, and then you know all the people who have access to these systems, whether they are authorized users, you have a security access control out here. You can actually add more user. You can change security privileges, so somebody can be only viewer and somebody can be admin. Somebody can be admin at a different specific location. Then what we have done is, you go deeper into this particular application. You can just go to one specific location and say, okay, well, in that particular location, I've got 3 compressors. You can actually drill down to each individual compressor, and you can get the readings, and you can get other data. For example, in this location, we are getting the data about who is the general manager or main person and contact person at location. When we go into the compressor, we can get all the data reading plus all the warranty information and things like that. So that's in a nutshell what Insight Connected Platform does in general, and it can be customized for any scenario that you're looking at. It can be customized whether you want to do cloud or you can do on-prem. And I think I'm going to pass on to Juan to talk about how to do it on-prem.
Yeah, thank you, Sandeep. And while you were sharing that information, which is great, thank you, we got a question from one of the audience, and I'll read it and then I'll answer it. To what level of to what detail can Insight give to healthcare professionals to best provide appropriate staffing levels and respective focuses for the management of the various inventory and asset insights? So it's a great question. So we have one use case that I'll talk about in a healthcare specifically. It's a healthcare system, and what they asked us to do is to work through a bunch of the data that they already had in their data lakes. And based on the data that we saw from that, plus other sources, to understand whether they should staff up for, and this is prior to COVID, for seasonal flus and those kinds of things. And based on the models that we developed in conjunction with this client, we were able to predict 3 to 7 days in advance the outbreak of a flu incident within a certain location. The way this healthcare system is, a lot of their nursing staff and some of the physicians they're on call by various different hospitals or university systems, and the first one to call into active duty gets that staff, and whoever doesn't. And we were because we were able to predict these models that far in advance, this healthcare system was able to, number one, get the staffing called in and be staffed up ahead of the curve. So when these patients started coming in, they had all of the appropriate staffing and they had all of the appropriate systems that they needed in place so that they could actually help these clients or patients. In addition to that, because of the predictive model of the and models that we put into place, we were able to more accurately and quickly move them through this healthcare experience. So they were onboarded into the systems of record faster. They were taken care of, and when their care was that was finalized, they were able to depart on average up to a day faster than they would have prior to our efforts with them. So it depends, right? The answer, it's a great question because it depends on how much data we have, how much and what area do you want to focus on. But with the right data and effort we can jointly put together, we can significantly advance healthcare in a number of different ways. So thank you for that question. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the technical architecture. And Sandeep had mentioned earlier in the presentation that this is sold as a service, and that's absolutely true. So we actually offer this in two different formats. One is where it's a cloud-hosted, cloud-born, cloud-native application that we work. So the sensors remain on premises, but the data itself and all that is processed and managed in a cloud instance that we sell as a service. However, we do recognize that for some clients, that does not necessarily meet some of their own internal requirements, or there's regulations that you must follow that prevent you being able to put some of your data out in the public resource. So we offer that the same platform on an on-premises architecture. So let me get into that. The high-level view of this is if we were to do this in a cloud architecture, right, and we happen to use Azure, but that's actually transparent to you as the consumer or the healthcare provider or whoever's leveraging this. There's a back-end system that's built on top of a whole bunch of Docker containerized application frameworks that we've developed, that ties into both the security models that Azure offers, as well as the database layers, the database engines, the AI engines that Azure provides, as well as the IoT hub itself, which allows us to then run a very relatively lightweight edge environment, so an edge gateway with the runtime in which we can have a message bus that would communicate with the different sensors modalities, the ML models that would run on here to do as much of the processing on premises, and then post-processing, sending that data to be stored at the service layer itself up in the cloud. If we were to focus just on that component, what you need is the IoT edge options, right? And Dell is a fantastic partner of ours, and they have some amazing edge devices themselves. They look like small desktop-sized PCs with low cooling requirements, so we can stick these into closets. We can stick these into. We've actually, Sandeep mentioned that we put these in a restaurant. We've actually put them literally right next to a grease fryer. You can put them on all sorts of different places, and they work great, right? So they're fanless, they're integrated GPS that actually prevents the system from being borrowed accidentally, and those kinds of things. The 3000 series and the 5000 series, they also can communicate with a variety of CAN bus and Zigbee and Wi-Fi systems. So we have a wide discretion as to the types of sensors and the systems that we tie into. So it could be stuff that already exists on the floor that we need to then just instrument so that it can be processed, or it could be new stuff that we add to the environment. So operational technology as well as IoT technology can be both integrated into this at the same time. From a networking perspective, these things can be spread across a huge number of locations, right? And so the way we do that is through an SD-WAN fabric, a software-defined wide area network, and we can connect to a range of different things, everything from the branch or the edge, or even a very light edge, all the way through a data center where we might be hosting some of this data. And the important part of all of this is that we really follow all of the security layers and security protocols that are necessary in order to make sure that all of this stuff is highly, highly protected. right? We actually, as part of both of our teams, we have a team of folks that just focus just on the security layers themselves, and they're fantastic at that portion of it in itself. For those clients that need a version of this that is on-prem only, we offer it, right? We typically tend to do a rapid prototype on our cloud version where we clean the data and massage it, because there's some investment that might be needed for a proof of concept. But once the proof of concept is done, we can re-implement the exact same thing on something that looks very, very similar. So if you look at this, it's still Docker containers are running a Kubernetes instance connected to a storage layer, but in this sense, it's actually Isilon, or it could be PowerStore, or it could be a number of different Dell products that sit in there. We have a Spark system that does the database layer that then connects to cold storage. So there's PowerScale and a number of other products that fit into that product category. We use Kafka as a message bus to communicate to the edge gateway. And then on the edge gateway, it's essentially the exact same stuff that's running over here, with a minor transition over to this Kafka layer rather than Azure IoT. But other than that, the high-level architecture is almost identical. And that's what really allows us to do some really cool things. So if you want to do a rapid prototype, verify that you have an IoT project that needs to be tested and POC'd, we can do that very quickly. Once that's done, and you want to scale this and secure this and run this off your own data center, we can absolutely do that with very minimal investment on your part. And then we proceed to that. Now, I'm an infrastructure person, so I'm going to share a little bit more about what's in the infrastructure, right? So from a logical perspective, what you're running on premises is, and the primary stack is Dell VxRail running vSphere and Tanzu for the Kubernetes, and that's fantastic. If you haven't had a chance to play with that stuff, it's really awesome. It's the easy button for Kubernetes on premises. NSX for the networking security that makes sure that only the right components are talking to each other. The Dell networking for the high bandwidth, high performance switching that's necessary, and SonicWall for the advanced firewall to protect the perimeter of the environment. Optionally, and this is something that can be purchased as part of it or as an add-on later on, is the Power Protect with Data Manager for the vSphere and Kubernetes side. The PowerScale Isilon for AI and ML, so your specific use cases, for example, very heavily vision focused, and Sandeep mentioned that we have the ability to do some vision-based stuff. We absolutely can do that with PowerScale. And Dell Elastic Cloud Storage, or ECS, for long-term object storage. This is the very deep, lower cost storage tier that's similar to an S3 or an Azure buckets or Azure storage in the public cloud, right? In addition to that, you have the physical stack. And the thing that should strike you on this is that it's actually not a whole bunch of stuff. It's less than one rack worth of equipment. It's about 1/4 of a rack worth of equipment. So this can be deployed at pretty substantial scale in very, very little physical space. That's great for power, cooling, all of those other elements that go into doing these things. So if you already have a data center and you want to run this stuff off of your data center, you're not dedicating a huge swath of your facility to being able to do a very mission critical component of what's going on there. So hopefully this paints a good question, lay of the land for how we've been able to solve a lot of these problems for clients, the possibilities that are out there, and if you have any other questions, we'd be happy to open up the floor to you. There's a Q&A button on the very bottom of your screen. Please feel free to drop in any questions in there, and we'll be happy to answer them for you right now. So Sandeep, it doesn't look like there's any additional questions here. I think with that, Kelsey, I think we've reached the end of our presentation. Hopefully this has been useful for everybody that's attended. Thank you for your time, and appreciate the time today.
Thanks, Juan. That concludes today's webinar. A big thank you to the presentation team today and to the attendees. Thank you for your time and for the opportunity to come together today. With that, we'll turn you back to your day. Thank you.